This is the annual meeting of the Parish Council, so it's slightly longer and contains slightly more basic topics, but we'll get started now. We have to start by electing a chairman, and he signs the declaration of office.
Or her.
Which I haven't.
Or her.
With me.
Okay.
So we have to do
Would.
that one.
Would sign.
Yes.
So, can I invite a proposal for the chairman? Paul,
I'd like to propose John Newton, please.
Thank you, that's reassuring.
Yep.
Could I have a seconder? Do I need a seconder? Alan?
We do.
Thank you very much. All in favour? Okay, thank you very much, everybody. So, as I say, I will sign when the declaration is presented to me. If we could go through the same process, and I would like to nominate Alan Lloyd-Smith as Vice Chairman. Can I have a seconder for that proposal? Colin, thank you. All in favour? Okay, that's unanimous. Right, that deals with that.
We should sign the declaration at this point, I think.
Yes,
If
we've
it
just
were
been
here.
through
Well, you've
that.
just done it.
Again, no, I've forgotten it.
Oh, I see, all right, okay. We have to then agree on the vote that it can be done later.
Fine, if we could all agree that I can sign the
Agreed.
declaration. Thank you, Jeremy, for pointing that out. Any apologies, Yvonne?
Johnny Shipton, Borough Councillor, he's got a ABC meeting.
It's
So.
a conflicting meeting, not
Yes.
unusual. Have we any declarations of interest of any kind?
Mine is the first sheet of the agenda because mine this one blue.
Yvonne?
That's all right, I've got there's loads here.
I'm just going to check that I can hear running more.
We can hear noises, don't we? Don't know if it's water running or...
Is that something in the bowl?
Oh no, it's kind of not.
There's something in the phone.
No,
The music.
this isn't it?
It's dog training.
Dog trainer.
Okay, no declarations of any interest? No? And nobody seeking any dispensation, correct? Excellent. I should remind the audience that the meeting is recorded publication, so be careful what you say. So now we adjourn our meeting, and it will give you an opportunity as our audience. Thank you so much for coming along and attending. If there's anything you'd like, you're probably speaking to a planning application, are you? Or
we were interested in the planning application.
yeah.
It's next door to our property.
Okay. Would you like to voice your support or objections?
Well, they've applied. We live in number 14 the street, and the application, I believe, is
16.
16. Thank you.
16.
16, not 6. There's an application, I believe, for a rear extension and for a porch. Both Chris and I have no real objections, except that I find it a little bit strange that the extension runs past the gable end of the ground floor situation by about 300 millimetres, and I'm not so sure that I can't see why that boundary can't finish in the same line as the gable end of the property, thereby giving a much cleaner line. So I don't really understand why it is necessary to run it past 300 millimetres, and I would think that somewhere along the line that the ridge tiles that run back to the main back of the proper rear of the property is of the same type as is already existing, because that ties nicely into our property. I'm understanding that they're thinking of changing the ridge tiles. Well, again, I'm not too sure that that has an aesthetic sort of feel and effect to the rear of the property, which only affects us in some degree. As regards the porch, we don't really have any objections. Our house has been maintained to a very sympathetic standard towards the period that it was built, which was around 1890s. So we've kept the frame windows, the door and everything inside is identical, whereas the property next door has been stripped apart of every detail of that period, which is fine, I don't have a problem with that. But if there's an objection over the porch, then I would say, well, actually, why were the windows on the property just put in prior to us buying our property as to an open plan window, just without any nice detailing? It's just a opening. Well, there's two of them. So no real objections, and yet one or two concerns, that we both have.
You're the attached house, are you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Obviously there, the best possible thing, possibly, I don't know whether your relationship is such, would be for you to...
Yes,
number
that's-
16.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hello, sorry we're late.
We get on very well.
That's good news. Yeah. No, you're very timely and welcome, and thank you for coming along.
Sorry, we bumped into Jan.
Yeah. So your application is just under discussion. I mean, our role as a parish council is not really that involved in that we can't really state that there's a problem from the village's point of view.
Yep.
It is really a matter of neighbours deciding whether it's something that,
Rather than the full
that they can live with, or whether it's intruding on their territory or whatever it is. So you're both here. I mean, I'm not suggesting you discuss it now, but it might be an idea for you to sit round the kitchen table and with the plans in front of you, and questions can be asked and answers can be provided, and then the question of approval or opposition can arise in a constructive manner, if you like.
Of course, yeah.
So, as I say, Paul here has a comment.
I just thought it would be a good opportunity, given the fact you've all said you get on so well together. The gentleman here raised a question. It wasn't a criticism, it was a question, and our job is to kind of absorb that before we go into a discussion. If I call it a 300mm question, it might be it would clarify for all of us, because I was sort of scratching my head trying to visualise, and I looked at the plans and I couldn't personally see anything that I thought was wrong or object to, but you did raise the 300mm, so...
Yeah, I mean, if that is the extension of the property, that's a joined line, ours and Matt's. I asked a question, you're building an extension on this side and it's coming along.
Is that on your side?
No, on your side. This is your side.
Yeah, joining your property or Jan's property?
No,
Your side.
our side.
Yeah.
So the extension comes along with the line of the property, comes up and returns, but you told me the other day that it goes further by about 300mm.
Yeah, so till about a year and a half ago, we had another building which fell down in a storm. That was originally built, I don't know if I've got both drawings here. So this is the original with this piece down here, and that's the full line of your property. We're now only going to go a metre, so rather than putting the whole thing all the way down your property line, but we only took this down a year ago, the bit that was already there. And that's what she's gone back on, which was already here as a property since Bob was there.
So is that our border line there?
This is your sheds here that line my property. So these are your outbuildings that you're on. So this was originally here since, I think, 1995, and it fell down in the storm. So rather than going all the way along your property, we are simply just going back that way with it. So it'll be a metre rather than...
So where's the end of our property, the gable end?
Back here.
Right back there. So
Somewhere here.
sorry, I misunderstood you on it.
So that's what we are doing, or hopefully doing. This is what we had before. So this has always been there, which was the whole way along your property line. And now this green line here is the only bit we'll take up along that property line. So that's the original before it was pulled down, and that's the new one. If you imagine that's the line of this.
So the flat roof on the extension comes, just come back this way, comes along here.
So this is the main buildings here. It's a bit hard on these plans. This is Bob's extension. So
Yes.
this line inside, and then this carried all the way down to the bottom.
Right.
This is what I was going to put on, and instead of going all the way down your property line, we just turned this to the side, which made that square.
So I'm absolutely delighted that you should have the opportunity to clarify that point, but this really isn't the forum for it. I mean, you know, it's
Absolutely.
the kitchen table of one of your properties is, you know, to fully clarify.
Yeah, so we can.
And I think we've got enough information now to make a decision.
I think we're seeing the decision sort of move in the right direction.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good that you both come along. Anything else particular you'd like to say?
Nothing. If it does go through, it will be done in heritage bricks. The roof will be made to look like a lead roof. So everything will stick with the age of the property. It's what I do for a job, so keeping it looking that way is what we do.
I mean, we rather rely on the planning officers and the building inspectors to deal with that aspect of stuff. But there'll be a short debate of the item in the closed session, but it's useful to have seen you both and heard you both. And nothing else you want to add either party?
No.
In that case, we'll
We
be moving.
also had your other neighbour here earlier. You might like to get round the kitchen table with her.
We've
Just done it.
We've just done it. She said she's absolutely fine. She's
Right.
would prefer not to see into the garden.
Yeah. So that's fine. So really, Jeremy, do you want to say something?
Just worth while we're in the public session to mention that you'll have your discussion separately. If you have a view afterwards from number 14, you have the opportunity to put it to Ashford and they will consider it in their decision. All we're going to do as a parish council is give our view, whether we support or object, which Ashford will also consider. But basically, when you go away, we'll have finalised what we're doing. You can say that actually you're happy or that you're not happy or why or anything else you want to do. You can do it online or you can do it in a letter.
Thank you.
So we now close the public session.
We can
In
go
effect,
home.
you can. Sorry.
We can go home.
Yeah.
You can stay if you like.
Do you want to stay?
Yeah. You can stay.
We'll go.
Stay on yeah.
Take care.
Thanks.
Take it home.
Thank you.
Let's just get a look. See you later.
Bye.
Wasn't it? When you did that for?
Oh, well, back to our usual numbers. Fine, so we'll now commence the formal parish council meeting, and we start at item 5, which confirmed the minutes of our last meeting on the 14th of April. We've all had copies of those. Everybody happy with them? Can I sign them? Thanks. Initials. Yes. Eugene. Thank you very much. Matters arising. The Sports Club lease update. I have emailed Willie to ask from the owner's side whether this lease that we're anticipating being produced is ready yet, and have not yet had a response. I turned to Jeremy as our man at the bar.
My source at the bar is presently
Paul Mervyn, yes, we gather he is very unwell, and obviously we all feel very sad for him and for Jill. Anybody, Paul, anything on the...
No, I just think, look, reading the minutes in the last meeting, it was still outstanding there, and I think that we're a month further down the line. I think it would be appropriate to send a formal request. Now, you've done that effectively, John, but I think give it another couple of weeks, and then we just have to. Someone's not chasing it up. It's just sitting in the in tray of John Mallett's lawyers.
Yes,
It
I'm
worries me,
surprised,
'cause-
you know, that he doesn't, it's all costing money.
Yeah.
And, but yes, I can follow it up with John as well,
Yes.
actually, and that's possibly the easiest way to
And
go.
if anyone bumps into Willie, you know what to say.
Yeah, get on with it.
Yeah.
Land fronting the church and the brick path update, we're back with KCC tracing
Yes.
ownership now, is that right?
Well, no, it's a stopping up order.
Oh, the stopping up
which,
order, yeah.
Which, yes, we got a delay on it, and I asked Wayne, and he agrees that yes, there is a delay.
Yeah, I know it's not what you really want to hear, but I'll tell you the truth on any matter. It's most likely going to probably could be even up to a year, because where you've got public right of way, there is, as you know, with a matter recently that's been approved, you know, these things are extremely timely, and there's no real shortcut. There is a queue, and it's as when things, but also with this, with it being as a prow, it's also as a highway matter as well, so it's the collaboration of all of this as well. So yeah, it is all moving in the right direction. We have now got some form of conversation actually happening with it, so let's hope that we get to the solution that you wish for.
Thank you.
And then we go on to the brick pathway.
Yeah.
Jamie said he would send me the flexi paving, that they call it, which was what he was suggesting, which I've gone back to say I don't think is what we're looking at. Alan, would you like to?
Looking at or looking for something?
That's what he is recommending, is the alternative, is what they would be able to put down. It looks like flexible tarmac to me.
Are we looking at this or this?
That.
That.
What, between the tree and the manhole cover?
So
Around
that,
the tree.
Around the tree?
Yes.
so that's like they have in children's play parks.
Yes.
That's what it looks like.
The spongy, yeah,
So that would be,
on the brick path.
yeah.
Instead of
Bouncy
brick,
tarmac.
yes.
Well, that wouldn't exactly look like
No.
No.
the late 11th century,
No.
would it?
We need to try and preserve the brick path.
Yes.
I would have thought, you know, in listed,
The brick path is a
listed,
historic.
listed buildings.
But I did say, you know, he said he'd got something and we agreed that we would find out
Yeah.
what he's suggesting, and this is what he's suggesting.
I think we reject that.
Wow.
I did tell him that, pre-warned him that probably would be the
I
answer.
mean, that material never seems to last that long in our climate. It's sort of free-store action and what have you. It'll be back to square one in a couple of years, but notwithstanding that,
So
I agree with you.
is the corollary of that, remove the bricks, flatten the, well, you can't flatten it because you've got the tree
The
roots.
tree roots and the
Tree
roots.
roots.
Yeah, so it would just be a bumpy, rubbery, horrible surface. It's not at all fitting. No, okay.
So then you see we were talking about, you know, us taking it over, but we can only if we do take it over, but then we're back to the stopping up again, because that's obviously on highways.
Can I?
Yes,
Aye.
of course.
So, with what's happened there now naturally is the bricks have raised because of the tree roots, and with what's been half mentioned of, well, can we just take those up and relay them? No, you can't, because of the tree roots. So if you do effectively take them up and relay them, it's going to look like what you got now, because it's got to lay there because of the tree roots. And that is why then there's that. The only other option of another surface is then, like a flexible type tarmac that can be laid down. So at least it has got a little bit of give and heave in it. So it's giving you a little bit more longevity, but you're sort of like between a rock and a hard place with the tree roots. That's the thing. And if you then raise up the rest of the landscape to that level of the tree roots, you're then really going to be literally changing the whole landscape of the whole pavement and the adjoining no man's land, as you call it, and as well as the path onto the church land itself. So you may be able to look at it as a way maybe to slope off the raisement within the pavement. Maybe look at that as possible. I don't know, I'm just giving you as a general idea. But yeah, it's not quite as straightforward as what it may seem. I get with the rejection, but you've also got to look to what is really the alternative to that.
What we might have, and we don't, I'm just suggesting what we might have and we don't know, is that the tree roots are not pressing on the underside of the brick, but pressing on something that is underneath the brick.
Yeah.
And if that were the case, we have got anything from sort of 25 mil to 50 or 75 mil to make back, as it were, by putting the brick nearer to the tree roots, taking away what was underneath it. But that is a hope, not an expectation.
So we're left with a health and safety risk there.
Although we still couldn't do anything like that until we actually own it.
It's not ours.
At the moment.
That's right.
So where does the risk lie for an accident, a falling over on what is currently
Like
there?
with highways at the moment, isn't it? Because they own the farm.
Yeah. The thing is, when the accidents happened, I believe it's when it was covered with the leaves, whereas now it's been kept clear. And the idea was sort of that Alf would be able to, if he was able to keep it clear of the falling leaves and the material that...
So Alf does that regularly, I
Yes.
expect, does he?
Is it worth?
Alf does that regularly now? Do you
Well,
know?
yeah, if we
Yeah,
say
it's kept that way. Is it worth painting the bricks that are?
the raised bricks.
We want them to be red.
Yes. Well, no, I mean so that we can see they're a hazard, or so that people can see they're a hazard as an interim.
We could get one of those things that BT used to have when they were still the GPO, you know, that put round the hole in the road and the manholes up, you know, one of those little things.
But that was to keep the man inside it, wasn't it?
Well, yeah.
I don't know if painted white would that work. Paint a section white, maybe, just to increase the visibility.
Well, it's up to KCC, of course, really. I mean,
Well, that's what they
we are
plan,
actually
not
sweeping their highway up
Yeah,
there,
accept that.
which is good of us.
We talk about painting the bricks that are uneven to show they're a hazard as an
But I think that
interim.
detracts from the merit of the bricks. I don't think we want to do that.
Only
Well,
as an interim and only the ones that are a risk.
I'd be against painting.
Well, you could whitewash them. That's what they'd have done in years ago, wouldn't they? They'd have had some
I
bottle of the
think
door.
I think we want them to look as traditional as possible.
Yeah, but how do we...
To have gaudy coloured paint outside the church
No,
isn't it's
no,
ideal.
white, not good. But the problem is, what happens if someone trips over the tree root?
It's a difficult one.
So you either put, as Jeremy said, you either put a fence around it,
Yeah.
temporary, you have a nice wrought iron fence around it. You could fence it off, but I think the challenge is doing nothing is probably going to come back and bite us at some stage.
We're discussing the risk at this moment,
Yeah.
so
I
we
think
have to...
propose that we keep them clear and tidy, and, weed free and so on, and assess what happens over a 6-month period.
Have we had an absolute no-no to trimming the root, cutting the root?
Well,
Yes.
I suppose the problem with that is the trees might come down.
Well, the tree man said, if you cut the roots, you're damaging the tree.
Killing the tree.
It's the sort of question you ask 10 different tree surgeons.
I know,
the same
exactly
question, you
that.
get 10 different answers.
Yeah.
I think we should ask our tree warden.
So TPO one.
Joint
No.
tree one.
No.
Conservation area, but
That's the ultimate solution, isn't it? I mean, the only ultimate solution, really.
we can't do it because it's a KCC.
Okay. Can we then say that
Church tree.
in this parish council's opinion, the risk lies with Kent County Council choose to have ownership of the park?
The root still is.
Is that fair to say? That in our view,
Yeah.
the risk is not ours.
Well, our problem there is, I mean, we're going around the old circles again. Our problem is that KCC have proposed a solution that we don't want. It may also be, but that's only me posturing it, that, or positive, whatever, that the planners wouldn't like it because we've got a grade 1 building and an old stone wall, and they can go as far as they think the setting of the church goes. And arguably, bearing in mind the bricks come out from the, whatever it is, the north door, is it, or south door, the bricks come right out. You could say that's all part of the setting of the church. And the listings officer might well take that view and say, no, I'm not accepting that half those bricks go. And then you've got the usual situation of 3 sets of rules all disagreeing with each other.
And like I was commenting, if I may, if the bricks are sitting on the tree roots, they can't go down anymore.
Well, unless there's something in between, a bit of, let's say there's that much mortar underneath, then there's an opportunity.
But then they won't stay firm, will they?
Take a couple up and have a look.
Well,
That would be.
we are trying to mitigate the risk because Alf is going to keep the bricks clean, which from a maintenance angle, which seems to be probably our responsibility, we are doing our bit.
The problem will be in the autumn, won't it?
Yes,
You can't keep up with the leaves.
Yeah.
No, but when was the last accident? Not
About 2 years ago.
Yes, exactly.
Should we have a notice saying beware uneven bricks?
Pedestrian.
Put that to the church. The church might turn it down.
Well, that's a suggestion, I think.
Yes, yeah, I think that's a suggestion. Yeah.
That would probably defend us litigiously.
And if you wish to send in a letter as a council to myself, I'd obviously pass that up the line. If you're wishing to try to negate any liability.
So you would back us on a notice?
Can't say that I'll be backing you. But all that I can say is that if you are believing that if there was any legal issues that you are looking at laying that responsibility with us as KCC.
And we're mitigating the risk as much as we can.
It could work both ways, couldn't it? It could draw people's attention to the fact that they were at risk, and otherwise they may not have considered it.
Well, I think that's a good opportunity. So, do we write to the PCC, Alan? Do we write to the PCC and ask, say we're considering...
PCC's got a meeting in June, so you could drop a note to us.
Okay, say that we're considering a notice.
And whose tree is causing the damage?
Churches.
The churches.
Yeah. We're all in it, really.
Which is a closed churchyard.
It's a very cautious phase of not making decisions. Try and take them up.
Okay. I think that's enough debate on that particular topic. HIP update. Well, we know that what we wanted to do on the grass verge has proved impossible. They've denied us the right to do it. What about the gate? Has she come back on the gate at the...
No, I haven't. The Sid pole was the
Sid pole coming out Swan Street.
Swan Street, yes. I had to complete a form saying where it was, what it was, where we thought it might be, all that sort of thing, which I did. And they have, and of course we do have history on this, because going back to 2017, when we first had the speed indicator, when we wanted it there, they said yes, then they said no, but of course there's all of that on record. And when I explained that we wanted it, it's definitely we thought needed, she went back to the chap that we were talking to originally, and he came back and said, I've already told the parish council, no, you can't have it there, it's not suitable. And she's come back to say that, I know this is detailed in the historical section of your HIP, however, I see Toby Butler has already advised you in 2023, which is when we were chasing it again, that Swan Street is not suitable for a SID, and I cannot override his decision. I did send him your recent form and ask for a written response that I can put on record. His team have advised the following. As you know, we've been asked to assess Swan Street a few times previously with a view to installing a SID post. The scheme was first installed in 2018, and since then several emails and discussions have taken place. When we initially reviewed the area in 2017, the scheme was very new and we were finding our feet in establishing the appropriate criteria. At that time there was a verge on Swan Street that we considered as a possibility, but this was quickly discounted in 2018, and the answer has always been the same since. This is truer now than ever before, as our installation criteria has become tighter and more stringent as we gather further experience and understanding from the numerous installations we have overseen. The criteria has not been met as a suitable placement location cannot be provided. There is no footways for verge width supplied, however the verges lack sufficient width, so this is not surprising. All verges here are prone to vehicle overrun with no curb protection, and they mostly appear to be used in a private capacity, many having stones or bollards in situ, presumably to stop vehicle parking or overrun. As well as appearing to be private, they also have many services which almost certainly run parallel to the carriageway, further complicating access arrangements. There are also plate signs and repeaters to which visibility cannot be compromised, as well as private accesses. Any seat would also need to be installed a good distance before the Poplar Road junction to ensure that motorists are focused on the road and hazard ahead and not distracted by a flashing sign. This limits the area and the available options even more. We've not visited this road for perhaps a year or two, but given that the layout has not significantly changed since 2018, we do not intend to visit again and look for something that has both been investigated extensively and answered comprehensively. The intervention criteria has not been met and a SID installation cannot be progressed. So she then followed on that she's used the compass data to have a look at the driven speeds. So we've got details on that.
Nonsense, that is. That driven speed, I don't know where they've got that from. They should come and live in that road and try and get out of my drive.
Where exactly were we trying to put it? You know?
Sort of halfway down,
Around Island Cottage.
I was going to put it outside Sue's house.
Anyway, that's a no, I think.
Yes, they do say if you, stroke residents, are concerned with speeding, would you like one of our 30-mile-per-hour toolkits?
It's very sad. It's very sad. It all sounds hugely convincing, other than the fact that a third or whatever of the points they make, we know, are utterly untrue whenever it suits them. They don't keep signs clear. They don't keep things away from distracting drivers. They don't this, they don't that, they don't the other. And it even goes to the stage of saying, oh, it won't be protected because there isn't a curb, and 2 sentences later it says, oh, people put stones along the edge to keep people off it. Well, they're either off it or they're not. It is, as usual, I'm afraid, and I'll say this in front of our excellent county member, they talk out their backsides. They contradict themselves and come up with rubbish. And it's the same as the green verge by the gate, where they, the garden, John knows my feelings on this, where they have actually said, virtually in terms, that it is safer walking down the road with your back to the traffic just by a corner than it would be to walk on a tarmac path in case you're silly enough to bump into a telegraph pole 30 yards further down the road. They are completely bonkers. And I'm afraid we have to put up with them because they're in charge. But they do not deserve to be in charge. They are hopeless. And it is all just, well, it's warm and dry in Henman, or whatever we call it, Hen something, you know, the depot in Ashford. So let's just stay there and keep chucking this stuff out. It is rubbish.
Wayne would like to say something after that.
Hallelujah.
Have I pricked you?
Firstly, Henwood's not being used. It's empty, and there's only got a few items in there, and it's probably going up onto the asset release list. But we're holding back on that because of LGR, so we're seeing what we do there. But anyway, by the by with that, looking towards with solutions, and I'm hearing what you're saying, where someone's not been out and not actually seen this and not been here for a good number of years. There seems to be a tiny little bit of uncertainty of the actual location, even within yourselves here, within the room. So what I'd actually ask for, if you wouldn't mind asking for, if you agree yourselves as the council, to request a site visit for myself to attend, which I'll be more than happy to, as long as you make sure it's on Friday. Because the reason for Fridays, just for clarity, is because Mondays I always have ICMM's cabinet meeting, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays are always committees, Fridays committees don't happen, so that's why in particular I'm saying Friday. So if you could arrange a Friday site visit for myself to be here, and also the HIP team, requesting, I will also from my side push it for us to actually have whoever from yourselves as representative. I will be there, and whoever else also from Highway. So when we're actually here physically looking at it in the flesh, as to say, then hopefully we can either see it as something then that we are to go with, or whether it's something that we're giving a good enough reason that you can actually see it there and then. That's for yourselves to decide, but that's my offering for that.
Perhaps before then it would be an idea for councillors to walk Swan Street and see if there is a suitable...
Yeah.
Sure.
When
I'm
you do
surprised you're saying it's so far down. I was expecting it to be sort of outside Four Oaks, that kind of thing.
Well, fine.
I think
That came out of looking at the verge, as I recall, but it's years ago now.
When you come along, could you also include outside the hairdressers
The other point,
and ask for a volunteer? Don't volunteer yourself. Get one of them to walk down with their backs to the traffic, and I'll drive my car behind them to make the point that they'd be better off.
I'll come along, but I'll be in your car then.
And listen, the big pole is irrelevant to the safety that we're talking about. But no, I think so.
They are following rules. The trouble is that the rules are ludicrous in that circumstance.
Yeah, sometimes I kind of, yes, I get what you're saying, but when you're looking at it from a desktop view, then you're not seeing the true landscape and lie of the land. Absolutely. And that's why I'm actually suggesting this as maybe as a bit of a solution, and a bit of mediation to find.
I mean, this is precisely the argument I think that a lot of the country had with the way it's currently run by the civil servants. That every village has practical problems that require a solution that trespass across a little bit of red tape, so you get a no straight away. But standing there, as you say, if we could get someone out and look at those 2 points, that there would be a finality to it. If they dig their heels in and say,
then someone's been out, physically had a look with whoever from yourselves, whether it's 1, 2 or all of you, however you may wish it to be. But that's what I'm putting forward as a suggestion. More than happy to. I've done it in other places, within my division. That's part of my role, representing yourselves, but also as KCC and trying to find a good working togetherness with it. So then, hopefully, Jeremy, your view and opinion in general may change slightly. I did say slightly. Mind your lead, foot on your lead.
Is that what's happening? Yeah. Okay, thanks.
But that is absolutely what it should be.
Okay, well, if we can get that arranged, that sounds like a very good plan. The caretaker scheme contract, we had one remaining point with Ashford. I think they'd failed to index the first year's value by CPI, although we believe that they intended to do so. So have we had confirmation on that?
Yes, we have. Yes, they came back. I pointed that out. They came back. And the whole thing, they came back with a new contract, but they hadn't corrected that bit, and this hadn't corrected something else, so I pointed out the CPI thing. She then came back with another figure. It's £300 more now.
Excellent.
And so now, really, now it shows. So she came back and said, is it okay now? So I said, well, you still haven't changed the bit where it says KCC is responsible for the cutting of the meadows, and it included all the other bits as well. And I said, that's actually Ashford Borough Council. So she went back again, and it came back this afternoon with everything right. I've signed it, and it's gone and come back to say it's all done now.
Good.
Yeah. Well done. Well, assistance.
ridiculous.
Yes. Okay. Parking in Lloyd's Green update. We had a communication from Ashford saying they'd sent a questionnaire around, I think initially, is that right?
Yes, and I've now had the result of that. Only 13.3% of respondents supported knee rail fencing installation, and the same result for parking enforcement. As such, housing will not be proceeding with installation at this time or pushing for increased parking enforcement at this time. Residents did suggest painting white lines on the parking available to make sure that the space is used as well as it can be. We are now proposing to paint white lines on the parking in the section pictured below, but want to make sure residents have a chance to feedback on this idea as well. We will be writing to residents outlining the above at the end of next week, which is the end of this coming week, asking them for their feedback and inviting them to take part in some community action on the 17th of July from 3 till 5 p.m. We will be asking the tenants what they would like at this event, but we expect it will include some planting, in brackets, away from the areas being used as parking, and an offering such as an ice cream van, which we are hoping to get one of our contractors to fund as part of their social value commitments. I wanted to ask you if you had any feedback, hopes, or concerns about our plans, and if you would like to join us on the 17th of July. I said I would, and that I would bring this forward for you tonight to make your comments. The comment that I had that I knew one resident would pick up on is that the paths, I don't know if you've walked down Lloyd's Green, but you've got the big area of grass, but within that it's got 3 paths that go from the houses to the parking area, so that people in the winter can walk down the paths to the park rather than have to walk across the wet muddy
left
grass.
or right?
Left-hand side.
Left
Yes, where you've got the parking area,
Yeah.
you've got that big,
Yeah.
and the paths, there's 3 paths. So I said, what you will have to bear in mind is that you will have to include in your parking still that pathway, so that people that are walking down the path can still walk through the parking area to get to their cars.
Yeah.
Which will probably make it less parking spaces.
Exactly.
Than there are now.
Which is why I did explain that our ward member, when this was all discussed, this has been going on for years, our ward member at the time who lived there said it wouldn't work to have parking spaces. She came back and said, oh, good point, I thought of that. Sent me an aerial view showing the paths, and then she marked is this what you're talking about? So I said yes it was, so she goes, right, we'll have to bear that in mind.
It was useful today walking down there to the far end to see, because most of it was still parked, there were a couple of gaps. There's no question that had it been lined, ignoring your point, they would have got several more cars in. Although it will be important if they do line it that they pick the right width, because if they do them too narrow with the wider cars nowadays it'll never work. They're going to have to pick the right
Some
width.
people have got transit vans down there, transit pickups.
Yeah, but nevertheless, if you saw where the cars were, they were allowing an extra, probably 2 foot per car more than actually had to be there. And obviously over a run of about 20 vehicles or something, that makes quite a difference.
Could we get Alf to run a road tax check on every vehicle? That might reduce some of the vehicles that are there. Just saying.
I don't think it will actually.
Well, there's progress. They're taking quite a lot of interest in finding a solution. Once they do, we're likely to find the same thing happening on other estates, are we?
Yeah.
But if it's a good model, why not? Yeah, that's good.
Well, in some ways, Lloyd's Green's better provided than 400 metres.
A lot better.
Because it's a more open estate generally, and they have got that very long perpendicular parking area. I mean, it is really pretty good.
Which actually residents bought for in the 1980s. That's why that's there.
Right.
Because before that, we didn't have that. That was all grass.
Okay.
Good. progress there.
So shall I make that comment then about making them the appropriate size, bearing in mind?
Yes, that's right, bearing in mind the size.
And anyone 17th of July,
What day is that?
Friday?
Oh, right. Let's
When
hope
would
it's
be
after
that?
school, if they can
Well,
have ice
between
cream
3
then.
and 5.
3 and 5,
Mm.
right.
With an ice cream van?
Yeah, they're hoping that.
If they can get their contractor to put their
Yeah.
community help budget into the ice cream van.
Yes. Okay.
99.
I was thinking the same thing.
So shall I remind you then at the next
Yes, if you could do that.
July meeting?
Good idea. Kent Acre Pledge update. Jeremy, have you been following the...
I have
raised?
had a conversation with Kerry this morning, an email yesterday which I've passed on to our clerk, who has found the answer to the problem. I approached Kerry a few days ago and explained the problem that Yvonne had pointed out, which was that this crowdfunding platform says you can use a credit card, debit card or bank transfer, and the bank transfer bit doesn't work. And there is an explanation, but they might have given it on the thing, because apparently these bank transfers that are conditional have to be more than £50, or maybe all bank. I didn't think so. I mean, I think you can do bank transfers of £10 because I've done it myself. But for this, it has to be more than 50, they said. And until you put at least 50 in the box, it won't allow you to do it.
I thought we weren't actually giving any
Yeah.
money at the moment. We're
Yeah,
only
pledge,
pledging.
No, this
Pledge.
was my issue.
That's the problem, it's a
Yeah.
pledge.
Mm.
So, and it works only with more, it's either the funding platform or the bank insist it has to be more than £50, which it is, it's 250, and it's a pledge. And Yvonne has done it today.
Yeah, so
Once
what
she
we've
knew
got
how
to
to do it.
which is what we've got to do, because I couldn't print anything off, so I took a photo of
Yeah, sure.
the screen.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, right. Does it
Which,
say
Um,
what's
it-
on raised?
yes. Yeah, you can back this project by transferring money directly from your bank accounts to the bank account below. Your funds will be held securely by our payments partner, Stripe. You must use the reference below, etc. The pledge will show up on the project page. As soon as we receive your funds, we will send you a confirmation email. Please transfer 250 using details below. So I put it on our system, so that, but I now need to send it to the same usual, well, on my usual too. But it will go out of our account.
Yeah.
That's why I wanted to print something off that we got
Yeah.
something.
What they say is if they
Sure.
don't meet the amount, it will be returned,
Right.
which implies that it's gone, but it comes back.
Back. And it's, at the moment, they're after $71,000 and they had 5,900.
That's right, I saw that today. Plus ours,
Okay.
because ours wasn't in
No.
there.
And it won't. So
But
I-
now she's
Is this an
found this
organisation
out
you've
from
come
me.
across?
Which is it, sorry?
It's shortened to ACRE. Jeremy Sands,
Yes.
have you?
No.
It's Kent Acre, ACRE is Action on Communities in Rural England. It used to be called Action for Communities in Rural Kent. There's one in every county of England. Kent used to, KCC used to support it in the old system, although they stopped a few years ago. And then the charity went broke about 3 years ago. This is, by the way, it's supported by DEFRA. I mean, it's a sort of government system. And it's been reinvented as Kent Acre, new charity, which took ages to get going. Their problem at the moment is they obviously need money, like everything needs money, and to pay the interim chief executive, for instance. DEFRA's money only goes so far. And all the usual funding agencies, lottery and the big charitable funders that are around the country, they're all saying, you're too new, you haven't got any accounts yet, you haven't got a track record, whatever, you've got to come back in 2 years' time. So what they have done is they've gone out to all the parish councils in Kent first, and shortly we'll be doing the village halls, saying, can you give us some funding through a crowdfunding platform, which is a pledge first,
Yeah.
and that's where we are. So she's, because I told her, she didn't know until I told her from you that this wasn't working. She went to talk to them, they've explained the answer, which I passed on to you. That's coming out to all the parishes now as a reminder. This is running till about June, end of June. saying, if you can't do it, this is the reason.
Mm.
You know, that's not why it's not working. And she's about to go out to all the village halls as well, saying, can you pay us £150 for your year's membership up front?
Yeah.
And off we go, because she's got to get in the first member of actual advisory staff.
So what do they actually provide?
What it's going to start, well, there's two sides to this way. What it used to be and what it needs to be.
What it is
from
now,
the
what
start.
are they offering now as an
What they actually offer at this moment, using herself only, the interim chief, is Village Halls Advisory Service, which exists across the country. And by the way, ACRE itself is a national organisation with a Village Hall Advisory Service that then comes down through the counties, you know, with the advice. The Village Hall Advisory Service is in existence. She's worked with about 100 while they've been getting the thing going again. What will follow on from that, potentially, is rural housing enabling again, which is a complicated area I won't worry you with, but it's been...
But how are they actually, sorry, what I'm getting at here is what are they actually providing? Because it sounds, are they actually endorsed by Borough Council and are they endorsed by County Council? Because to me it sounds both.
Yeah, definitely. The previous one was, until it went broke, there used to be a County Council member who was on the trustees. He's died now, but it was... he died about a year ago, one of your predecessors, before the election. He was a Tory from the Tory days. There was a Borough Council representative who happened to be put there by Ashford, but it could have been any of them. He has also died, as it happens by sheer chance. There were some parish council people who were separately, not delegated, but they were trustees. Yeah. And there was a full-time staff. Yeah. And it's to do it's very much in your area because it's the rural bit, ACR for rural, rural England. By the way, the one here that went broke had been going for 99.5 years at the time, very long standing. There's one in every county, save Kent, which had a gap and is just trying to get going again, and they all come down from England via England to whatever. There ought to be money from Kent in time.
What do they actually do?
What do they? I get the back history, but the manner of
village halls, rural housing.
They advise them on matters that specific village halls. We went to our village hall and said, "Would you use these people?" And they said, "Probably not." I mean, a lot
because you've got CAP.
Well, precisely. There's that. But there are one or two areas, and we decided in debate that it was worth encouraging the setting up of this organisation. They are working at the moment on resilience, I think. They're advising villages.
They're doing a pilot at the moment in West Kent. You're up talking about in the hills west of Sevenoaks, is where they're doing their pilot.
Yeah.
Sure.
I've not heard of them. Just for closure of this, you can move on. But no, I've not heard of them, and they're not affiliated to any council. So
they're certainly not affiliated. They're a charity.
They were supported by a number of the borough councils in different ways. Ashford was the main one. But going forward, there's, as Jeremy says, there all sorts of things they've got involved in providing, and their overarching role was to represent rural life as in terms of jobs, transportation, education, a whole raft of issues where historically for the last 100 years the rural communities have been underrepresented. If you come to the village halls, one of the things, the practical side of it, was that village halls faced with buying new equipment, installing Wi-Fi, dealing with energy suppliers, etc., could come to this central repository of experience, and then the officers there would draw upon village hall A, B and C and said, hey, we'll guarantee, they'll tell you where you can get your extra 100 chairs, or, these two village halls have had experience putting in cost-effective Wi-Fi systems and what have you. So there's a repository of information and advice. They had over 300 village halls in Kent, included. Some probably didn't use it, others thought it was absolutely fantastic, and then they'd have a village hall conference every year, which was well attended. So it was a pass information, it was a way of reducing cost. and using information rather than reinventing the wheel every single time.
And problem solving, because village halls are usually charities, there are governance issues, there are problems that blow up, how are we going to solve this between our trustees or whatever, and there was, and there will be again, a village halls advisor who can, I mean, incidentally, this place that did exist, they had files on all the village halls. I remember when I got involved when I was first chairman here, I rang up the village halls advisor, said where I was from, she pulled out the file straight away and said, okay, which is your village hall, yeah, and was able to advise. I mean, that's where I got first the charity trust document from, was from them who got it.
Well, anyway, we agreed to provide a pledge for £250 if they manage to achieve their sum, which is by no means given. We will look carefully at what services they do offer to provide going forward, and if we feel they'll be continually useful to us, then obviously we'll continue. We'll take a view from the way it's set up and the people running it, and we don't want just another level of bureaucracy, but I think Jeremy's right, this is rural specific, and sometimes we feel that the urban areas leave us out of their consideration on a lot of things, and hopefully it will be worthwhile and we'll look at. Anyway, that we're slightly off the point there, so let's move on now to the appointment of members to existing working parties. The village caretaker group is myself, Jeremy and Yvonne. I think we all agree that we'll carry on in that role.
Sure.
Finance, myself, Jeremy and Yvonne, the team. Open spaces, Alan. Happy. Highways, Paul.
Yep.
Public rights of way, Sally. And cemetery, churchyard, Sue. Yeah, thank you very much. All agree to continue in their roles. 2 members to attend cult meetings, Jeremy and myself. I should point out that if Jeremy is attending and subsequently reporting to the parish council, that I will not attend generally because it's unnecessary. But Jeremy provides us with very comprehensive reports. If you can't attend, then I will make every effort to do so myself. Okay, the reviewing generally. You happy to stay on, Wayne? Because we're
I'll stay for a little while, yeah. I'll just wait till you've got over.
If there's anything you'd like to advance.
I was just going to mention, if I may, because it is, I did say to Yvonne, so tomorrow at KCC we actually have scrutiny committee, and it is something within there that is regarding your windmill stocks mill, not windmill but stocks mill, because it was something that was put under review, and there has been consultation that's been going on for a few years, and tomorrow in scrutiny they are looking to make a decision as a group of the windmills in general that we have, and that's 7 or 8 within Kent that we as KCC look after. A lot of it, yes, it's down to cost. It's down to who's looking after and running them, and as you know with your one here, it's limits on the helpers that you have just here on the mill, so it makes things a little bit awkward because it's hardly open, so as a enterprise in its own right, it's they're not going to want to just take it on themselves, whether there being a bit of a deal done to take it for a lesser value, to take it off of our books, as to say. Or whether an actual outside purchaser can be found. But the one thing that's more tricky with your mill here is access, because it's limited to no access for things like scaffolding and maintenance and such like. As holding costs for us as to Kent County Council, just holding costs is £100,000 a year just for the mills that we have, the 7 or 8 that we have, and then on top of that will then be like maintenance and such like, if and when it needs. Obviously your one's not as complex and as risk averse to some of the others, but we've got to be looking at what to do with it. So obviously your mill here was built in 1866 and took on by KCC in 1958. So we've been custodians of it for that time, and we are looking basically to find another custodian of the mills that we currently look after. So Yvonne's informed me that you do have a working group for the mills. So yeah, there is going to be, most likely, I can't say what's going to happen in the committee tomorrow, but it's most likely going to be going forward for disposal for however that may be. But working with the custodians that are actually working and looking after these mills to see if there's any way that they would like to. And we would actually have a bit of a collaborative working relationship at KCC to help them get to where they need to if they're wishing to take them over.
Can I just ask, you talking about the ownership of it?
Yes.
Okay, so currently it's on your asset list?
Yes, it's on our asset list, and it's on a 999-year lease with a covenant, but I'll be honest, I don't know in full what the covenant's about on this particular one here.
Because it's been bought out of a house, basically.
Yeah.
It's the housing land, a house land, and it's just a little island in it with right of access.
We did have a questionnaire, all of us, as to what we felt should be done. And I mean, I think it was a vain hope by the council, perhaps, that they would get the assets taken off their hands by, I don't know, local groups, but everybody's so aware of the liability that each individual one would be. So the only practical solution ultimately probably is to sell them for houses, maybe. I don't know. Anyway,
but it's just the reason for me, highlighting this was if there was anything that you wished for me to personally convey within the chamber, any views and opinions, I'm more than happy to do that for you. I don't mind standing up and talking.
I think there's already a problem here. I used to be in the group that show visitors around. I haven't been now for a few years. They used to every Sunday during the summer. It's only every month, once a month now, because the group is thinner.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty forlorn business, to be honest. There's the odd visitor on a Sunday afternoon. The costs, as you will have already you'll have seen a load of papers on it. I mean, whatever the holding costs are, I don't know, but you have a pretty substantial repainting cost about every 10 years.
Yeah.
That's massive. And the chances of a private group taking that on is nil. And it is a grade 2 listed building. So
yeah, grade 2 star, I think.
The 2-star, right? Yeah. Of course it is 2-star.
Yeah.
So it's the only 2-star I think we've got. So if they have much hope, I mean, when they first put the thing out, they seemed to impose more hope than I thought was justified, at least in ours. I don't know the others. I think I heard that one of them might get away somewhere, but we'll see.
Oh, and like I say, we're not being disrespectful to yourselves here, but I think this one here is a little bit more of an easier decision within all of this, and obviously people getting super emotional. We've got the likes of Cranbrook Mill within this that's going on. So, but like I say, if there's anything that you wish, or even after this evening, you've got up until 9 o'clock tomorrow to even email me. If there was something you have an afterthought or a discussion after, the committee meeting starts at 10, but if there is any afterthought, emails or communication, please get them to me by 9 o'clock. And if there is anything that you'd like for me to convey as any comments or anything, more than happy to do that for you all. But as most likely is going to look, and as you know with the disposals, that's the way it's going to most likely be looking, because that's really what we're wishing for, is to get a bit of a working relationship with some groups to take them off of our asset list. But if there aren't working groups that are, in a nice sympathetic way to still look after them, we'd be looking at other ways to dispose.
It might be worth just noting, you probably know this anyhow, but obviously you consult the landowner, where it sits. And I think that remembering back from when we did the survey, one of the big concerns was the liability. And so if as an example, you were going to sell it to the landowner for £1.
Yeah.
I don't think if you then imposed a whole load of conditions on that, I don't think that would be very attractive to the landowner. I just flagged it up as a thought for your discussions tomorrow. I think it has to be pretty unencumbered, and I think if the objective is to reduce cost, I can see that, but I don't think you're going to get any revenues from just a thought.
I suspect you can't even dispose unless you have a purchaser, and there may be no purchaser at any price whatever.
Because
like minus 50,000 or something.
Yeah, and they're the things, and that's why with what I'm saying is we're even looking at working groups that are looking after these mills to maybe at a very, very reasonable value to relinquish, shall I say. But they're decisions to be made within, and not within our meeting, but as that's just myself and my personal opinion. With what you say, which is a totally valid point, when you're looking at the possible future risk stroke costs against the true value, and then what you can get as an income or anything from it. So but that's one of the only key points. The other bits that we've already touched upon that we've got here in the village. So, and you'll get my monthly report.
We do.
And as you always know, if there is anything, drop me an email. More than happy to help in any way. And if you do decide with this, with your sign down the road, more than I'll come along to that. But please make sure it's a Friday, because then they're more readily available for me.
Okay.
If you're happy with that, I'll make my way. Stage exit.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Jacob.
Okay, item 9. Reviewing the standing orders. I mean, I've looked at my copy. They're generally things that we would only tend to refer to in times of controversy, it seems to me, telling us how to behave. We disagree on things and that sort of thing. So, if people could just say if they've got any queries or desire to change or whatever, otherwise we can endorse them, can we, as they currently stand, and then...
I don't think I'm seeing financial regulations.
We're talking about
standing orders.
Oh, sorry,
Number 9.
taking one at a time,
Yeah.
okay. But we're taking the whole lot.
Okay, so that's fine.
Too easy.
We're happy with those. Financial regulations.
I'd like to defer. I went into them and then I think we need to look at them again.
Okay.
NUCs
with local revision
yes.
is what we have, isn't it?
Yeah.
So there might be a change during the year from NUC. Okay. Can we please defer those?
Yvonne said that she wasn't sure how to put in the bit about procurement that has been imposed on us.
It wasn't just that, it was other.
Okay, but that one you did mention, that's why it was in my mind. A thought that you might wish to take is to make the change that's necessary in the official financial regulations, the template, which is attached anyway, and then simply refer to that section. In the other one, you only then have to put a line in. There would be a way of doing it.
Right, okay.
For procurement, see the other
yes,
document.
it just didn't fit
Didn't
in.
gel, I know.
No,
Well.
it's horrible. Thank you.
Okay, the inventory, we've all had a copy of the inventory of our assets. That is as it says, presumably, unless anybody...
I have a couple of tiny little thoughts. I mean, this is a nightmare that Yvonne struggles with all the time because of ancient rules that we never understood and all the rest of it. It's a strange thing. Halfway down the street furniture, the red community litter bin outside the shop. We've actually got 2 there. Is the other one Ashford's? Maybe that's the answer to it.
No, if you've done further down, you'll
Yeah,
find
it's a different title, the other one.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
you're right. My eye went past that. Okay, thank you. The second hand at the bottom, it's bottom of my page, but I've changed it. Down street furniture, yes, it is the last ones. Second hand park seat in ABC play area and second hand park seat awaiting location donated, doesn't donated then come under the pound? Just like, for instance, the Memorial Garden was donated, wasn't it, and whatever?
Could do.
Yeah, I just wondered about that. And then the other thing that occurred to me, John Chairman, quite interesting in terms of, what the Romans ever done for us. It's quite interesting to see that the value in our asset register from 10 years ago has gone from 45,000 to 83,000. That's not in a commercial way because it doesn't take account of depreciation and things. It does show that we've actually spent £40,000 in the last 10 years, or not that much per year, but it's still £40,000 on stuff that we now have or use or whatever. It is something that we've done rather than just sit here.
Some of it's quite mundane, like mowers and,
Well, it's mowers, it's
right on mowers,
but without a mower you don't get the grass cut.
Whether our ride on mower is currently worth £9,500.
No, it isn't, because we don't depreciate. That's not
no, quite. Yeah. Okay, but anyway, I'm sure that we're all happy that it's a pretty comprehensive list
That's fine.
of what we have. New renewal of insurance cover. If you change 18.1 to 21.1, you'll see that there's a renewal fee of £1,056.74 at 21.1. Any changes in cover, everyone?
No, I've gone through it and
it's all there, all what we want. And the increase is reasonable.
Yes.
That's all we need to know.
Barely £50, I think.
Good. More reviewing interactions with residents and the public, unless anyone's got any particular feelings about these being outdated in any way.
This is the one that's in the notice boards.
No.
Fine.
Yeah. Handling requests made under the Freedom of Information Act.
That's one that we don't actually have a written thing on, but it's a list that I keep if anybody wants, but I haven't had anything.
Have you?
Number of
Have you
things
ever
there.
had a
Oh yes.
Once.
Really?
Once.
Oh, when
Yes.
Yes.
And we dealt with it.
Okay, good. Dealing with press and media, again, we've got a policy. I don't think it needs.
Yes, so that's one where we added the best practice guide in last year. So.
Okay, that's good.
That's one where you might want to look at it yourself, John, if you haven't already, because I wrote it thinking of the way I would deal with things with the clerk, and that puts therefore certain onus on you that you may wish to modify up, down or sideways.
Yes, quite.
But we've then got to approve it.
Which would then be approved,
Yeah.
So at the moment we're all approving
Yeah,
it.
it can be done any time.
We must be aware that there could be an occasion when something happens here.
Well,
People
it didn't
bear down upon us.
actually, I don't think, develop into that. I can't remember over the peak, for instance, but that was one that could have.
Yes, well.
It certainly did. There was one occasion when I did have a long interview with the person from Kentish Express or whatever. I think it was the pub. When that blew up some years ago.
Right, that's that one. Health safety policy. I printed one off. Yeah, I printed off. I had a look through. It seems pretty comprehensive.
It's less than a year old, isn't it?
Yes, so that's one I brought in.
That's the revised version.
Yeah. Approach to risk mitigation and control policy. We're really covering ourselves pretty well, I think, with all of these. Consider giving a donation to the Wildon First Responders. I think we...
Yes, this was following the successful we had.
We appreciated what they provided, and I think the move probably is that we should something.
Sure.
Do we have a figure in mind? Or?
£50 is sort of too little, too much,
I just want more than that.
It depends what else we want to spend it on. I mean, I don't disagree that it's not worthwhile, but we've got like the defibrillator cost as well.
As a result.
But we'll
yes, but this will come out of donations.
Yes, I know.
So that.
But we have regular people trotting to us for donations. That's why.
£100 generally.
It's fine.
Yeah, 100.
Yeah.
Okay. Planning applications, we've had, I thought it was rather marvellous having the next door neighbours here, and apparently the other one, lady had been in or something.
Could we not enact a local rule that says if you want a planning application, you've got to bring your neighbours from both sides?
Immediate
Neighbours,
yeah.
you know? That would,
Yes.
that would filter things out quite quickly, probably.
Well, I mean, I was very pleased to hear the relationship was a cordial one. I thought it might be the opposite, and we might have had to separate them.
It might be interesting to see the comments at the end of their discussion.
Yeah, yeah. So that's fine. And as a council, I think we would tend to support.
I'd support.
Yeah, support.
It has no effect on the street scene, which is
No.
usually where we start from. Because we're
Right.
back.
Well, no, they're going to have a porch. They haven't got a porch
That's
now,
right,
they've got a
right.
canopy.
No.
There is a porch about.
Rosemary at the orchard, I had a look. They're demolishing clearly some old uses, stables and things like that. Anybody know the site particularly?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll walk it around it, yeah.
Yeah. And no objections?
No.
No.
You're going to stop off at the gym?
Well, I do.
Okay, so we support that one.
The house is called Rosemary in the Orchard, is it?
One of them.
That will be after Rosemary Wilson. Remember Rosemary Wilson years back?
I remember. Why would it be after Rosemary? Why?
Why?
Called after her.
Why would it be called after Rosemary Wilson?
I presume she lived there, did
I
she?
mean, I imagine, I think I know Rosemary Wilson lived at the Orchard.
Yes, but that's in further up Swan Street. This is the orchard next to Archer's
Brand new
Post.
house.
Yeah.
Okay.
Entirely different, so
In a different
very
part.
unlikely, yes.
I
Okay,
don't
so
know the answer to your question.
So we've supported that. The dreaded swan, I keep a very close personal check on what's going on here, and I emailed Johnny Shilton because it had been suggested possibly that Kevin might go for a decision on the basis that the council's taken so long to come to an but apparently he says not yet. So we anticipate that it will come up within the next 2 to 3 months. So it's really a question. I mean, I intend to attend on behalf of the parish council if I'm around. There's just one, the July date. I won't be here, but I will make sure that somebody else is briefed with what I would otherwise have said. The group who had a potential tenant in view, who initially Kevin indicated he would be happy to give a tenancy to keep the pub alive. As soon as a tenant came forward, he rather cooled off on that issue, I think, and is now no longer in contact with that particular group.
That's an interesting point there, John. I was going to ask you that because if you look at the comments from last time, because they just re-release those, Miriam's comments were very extensive and there were some well-made points there, and she pointed out that it was appropriate to put it on the market for either sale or lease, and it wasn't on the market to be leased at that stage. Since then, I looked at it, and currently it's there at an asking price of $595, is it?
595.
Or 15,000. It doesn't say for how long, but I'm assuming an annual rent, 15,000. And my question was, well, if he's actually put that on there, why has he turned down the potential tenant? And 15,000 didn't sound
No, that doesn't sound
a huge amount, but it's actually there in black and white.
It's more than what Paul just said now, I agree. he turned it down. My reading of it, it's not easy because they've blacked a load of it out, but they appear to be saying there was no interest in a lease. And that looked to me as though there's a bit of left and right hand there on whatever basis. Oh, there's no interest in the lease because they went and talked to the owner directly rather than through Sidney Phillips or whatever, I don't know. But either way, we know there has been an interest in the lease, which, according to what we're told, the landlord took an interest in and said, and then as you say, it all fell apart. And now it's been, oh no, we haven't had any interest, and that's rather curious. That's rather curious.
Well, it's not correct.
And I think, yes.
And I think
it's worth
pointing it out to Johnny.
Yeah, we will be opposing as fiercely as we possibly can, and others in the village will do the same. That's that one. Right, the planning conditions for the cemetery extension. The point that we have to start from would be to address the biodiversity net gain issue. We had a meeting on site, not with the biodiversity consultant, but with our architect and our engineer, both from the village, to talk about practicalities, and they are working on getting a specification together for the works that we might subsequently need. But the first thing we're having to do is to go back to our consultant lady and to ask her to help us clear this condition so that we can proceed.
I thought we were going to look at other...
Glenn, our engineer, said, I know something that would be worth trying, very practical people, they'd be quicker and more helpful. When faced with the request that he would contact them, they were not willing to work for us.
Too busy.
Yes, too busy, he couldn't.
Yeah.
So he suggested we went back to KG Ecology, which I did, and I asked her, because she has all the documentation, so I asked her whether she would be able to do this for us, and how much it would cost. I didn't hear anything until yesterday, when she asked for a copy of the conditions, which I sent to her, and this morning I now have a copy of the biodiversity game plan completed, together with an invoice for £90.
Brilliant.
Took her
Wow.
an hour. So,
£90.
so she said,
Send her a cheque quickly.
I have otherwise.
And a big thank you as well.
Yes, I did say much appreciated. Yes, luckily and surprisingly, the LPA didn't ask for a HMMP.
Something
Don't know what that is. For the off-site habitat creation. So all you need to do is resend the same documents that we produced for the application, as well as the post-development habitat map, Wittersham Cemetery, and the biodiversity game plan, which you will need to date and sign, which I've got to do. As per condition 4, you will need to complete the habitat creation enhancement we discussed, as per the attached. So we need 120 metres of new hedgerow to be planted along orchard boundary, 678 square metre area enhanced to other neutral grassland. Writing the BGP and post-habitat plan took me 1 hour's work. I'll send a separate email for the invoice if that's okay.
Well, that's most unexpected. Very welcome.
I'm trying to get my head around the timescales here. I'm sorry, I'm suffering from quite a lot of hearing loss tonight, so I can only just pick up what you're saying, but I'm going to just give that to you, a copy to you and a copy to John.
This is what...
And do you mind if I read this out to you?
Yes, that's what you sent me, so I've got...
And so I've been in discussion with Charlie Reeve, who is a sheep farmer in Peasmarsh, but is sort of an expert in fencing and hedging. And I had quite a long talk to him the other day. Good evening, Alan. Following our call today, please see below proposed next steps for the cemetery extension. Having consulted with the Weald team, it has been agreed that farming in protected landscapes is the best option for funding, as we have previously discussed. As you will remember, this is to try and get some grant aid in to pay for the barrier. I've discussed this case with the case officer and have agreed that the best chance of acceptance is to apply for funds for hedgerow planting of native species, and then the parish council would fund the installation of a boundary fence along the new extension boundary to prevent public access from the orchard and to allow the hedge to grow and establish where desired. The fence would also provide protection from wandering livestock should the orchard ever change use. Current funding payments would amount to £22.97 per metre for the hedge establishment, to include rabbit guards, bamboo support canes, 2-year-old hedge whips and labour to plant. With regards to fencing, there are two options I would suggest. One is traditional chestnut stock fencing with a stranded barbed wire on top to prevent unwanted access or livestock browsing. This would have a typical lifespan in the region of 10 to 15 years, long enough for the hedge to establish, but would need replacing to ensure the clear boundary line. Rough estimate cost would be in the region of £10 to £12 per metre plus VAT installed, which would need an accurate quote from a contractor. The other option, which I believe was discussed, would be the installation of stock fencing as above, but using metal intermediate posts and corner posts. This would last for upwards of 30 years, ensuring lasting value for money. Cost would be on par with chestnut, but difficult to give accurate estimates as depends on fence orientation. If a contractor was required, I would recommend Tony Lambert of T&J Fencing, based in Stowe, who I believe has done work for the PC in the past.
Yes.
If this is agreeable with the PC, I'm happy to progress the application for the funding with a view to complete works this winter to utilise suitable ground and growing conditions. This would ensure any grant funding would be paid well before March 2027. Fencing due to not being included in the grant application could be completed at the PC's earliest convenience. I hope this is helpful, and any further questions or clarification, please don't hesitate to ask. I think that's quite helpful.
Very helpful, yes.
Very helpful. It does push us under time pressure.
Well, does it? I mean, that's what I was trying to establish in my mind, and this new document you've just got in is quite...
Yes, that's helpful. The thing is, we've still got trees to come out, which will need access from the orchard, come out in September.
Well, that's okay. We're still in time then. If we can put the application in with the proviso we're going to take some trees out in September, okay, we're okay so far.
And then we're talking about the track that we want to put in.
Well, then that could go in after the fence is up, couldn't it?
No, because you can't get in there.
But you'd be able to get in from the existing entrance.
Not with building materials.
That's the issue.
No.
Okay, then we'd have to do that then before...
That's why I said there's a time pressure.
Yeah. All right. Okay. I mean, I'm not quite sure you're right, but you probably are. Usually are. I do.
I'm open to being collected, Alan, as always.
Can we not leave a gap in the fencing sufficiently wide for access, and then
only with permission?
I mean, of course, you see, the trouble is, if we put the application and then don't do the work, we don't get the grant.
There won't be a problem at all.
And then it lapses, of course, after, I mean, you know, the beginning of March in this sort of soil is the last time you can plant, and you best get it done before the end of February, to be honest.
Quick question on the stock fencing. Is that wooden stock fencing, and the difference is one's got wooden posts and the other's got metal posts?
Yeah. Well, he recommends some metal posts, doesn't he?
Yeah, he talks about metal posts, but he's not talking about metal laterals, is he?
No.
Well, no, that's on top.
Oh, right, okay.
Traditional chestnut stock fencing is is wooden uprights and wooden laterals, wooden rails. Yeah. And in this case, it would be barbed wire on top. I just wondered whether the second option was metal posts. What are the rails made of?
I think the metal posts are just standalone, probably.
And so it'd be wooden.
Yeah, otherwise
rails.
it's
And again,
wood,
with the strand.
wood,
Okay.
metal.
And he's saying the cost is going to be...
And the metal says more of that, I think he says, it doubles the life expectancy.
Yeah. Well, the hedge will grow hopefully relatively quickly. So from an aesthetic point of view...
Depending on when you plant it, as long as you plant it before the end of February.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is once it's got 2 or 3 years growth, by then, from an aesthetic point of view, whether they're metal or chestnut is fairly relevant. You won't see them.
There's a question that he will know and I don't, and you may, Alan, which is whether you put the fence in and then the hedge, or the hedge and then the fence. Because the hedge, I know, dots it either side of the fence.
Putting the fence in is likely to disrupt the hedge. I think you put the fence in first and then
that's what I was thinking.
I'm sure that's what you do.
And then you can plant both sides.
That's right.
I mean, the other point is that, I mean, I've used T&J fencing, and I mean, they're incredibly reasonable. And when he gets going, when you get him on site, he's a really quick worker. You know, I mean, he does it in no time at all. It's astonishing, actually. It's worth just going to view it. The speed with which he works, and he does a wonderful job. He's much less expensive than some of the other local providers.
He did the fence
Down
down the cemetery path.
Yeah. And I mean, you know, it wouldn't be right to mention a name or two, but there are some providers who are very expensive, double.
Yeah.
And I think he's good value because he just works so quickly.
Is there a necessity for a fence after the maturity of the hedge? Because most of our
once a hedge is fully mature,
that's the boundary.
And the wire will still be in there.
Yes.
It will have disappeared, and the fence posts rot away. The wire will still be supported by the hedge.
Yes, and you just pull the fence post up.
Technically, the answer technically is yes, because it was in the sale of the land, but that doesn't mean to say that they bless it, of course, in 30 years' time.
No. But
I think that's a fair point, isn't it? In that, I mean, there's no stock in the field
at the moment,
and I think somebody mentioned putting the hedging plants either side, because otherwise, if you put them all on the same side, then when the fence rots out, then you just pull the wire away. If you have the wire integrated, then you've got a more permanent structure.
Yeah.
But
that's worth discussing with them when they come.
But in principle, I think the feeling is that well done for pursuing a grant in this manner.
It's a pity we're not going to get the wooden fencing posts and so on grant aid, but the hedging plants, you know, I mean that's about half the cost basically.
Yeah. I think the timing of this, or the urgency of it, this illustrates that we've got to get on with it. I mean, this has been dragging on now for 7 years?
Yeah. And when you say the timing and the urgency, that's quite a critical point, because we've got to consider that we've got to have everything else done at the early part, by the early part of the new year. We've got to be in a position to instruct Tony Lambert, because there's no point in going to him on the 1st of February saying we want it done next week, because he's going to have a lead-in time of 6 weeks, 8 weeks, because he's got enough work to keep him going for 5 years.
I'd say to him, we probably want you on site Easter 2027.
Well, Easter's too late, isn't it, for the hedging?
Is it?
Oh yeah, Easter's too late. Your plants will all die.
So when would you have him in? February?
Before the end of February.
The grounds. Okay.
I put some hedging in last year at home.
Yeah.
And that was done. I was told it's been so wet. Don't worry. It was last winter. It's been so wet throughout winter. Don't worry. We'll put them in the middle of March, and everything will be fine. It didn't rain from the 25th of February right through until August.
Yeah.
And they all died. If you put them in after the end of February, you're probably not going to have much in this hard soil. It gets so hard.
So I think your idea of giving him the heads up of an approximate date is a really good one.
Yeah.
Giving him the heads up of an approximate date, say February next year.
We need to instruct him before Christmas, I'd suggest.
Tip him off even before that.
But then, of course, there's no point in tipping off if we're not ready for him to do it by the time he wants to do it.
But this readiness is dependent upon us getting the path and everything done.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not sure about that. Why can we not still get access?
Well, I don't know the
By
answer to
just
that.
simply
That's
taking down.
Is there a reason why we can't get on
The
to it?
track is very narrow for any lorry to be delivering.
Yeah, but
can't-
you're talking
you
about
can't-
coming in from the cemetery.
You can't go through the
Yeah,
cemetery.
so we
What
need
about
to
from
come
the
in
other
through the
side?
orchard.
You've got to come through the orchard. Now,
Yeah.
as you said, we've had the opportunity of discussing with the landlord and the tenant, remember, but the actual land deal did include that as a covenant, that we had to do a complete stop-proof fence and hedging. It even says hedging of, normal English species or something. Yvonne's got all the papers. I'm not saying that we can't vary it by agreement, but
we are going to do a complete stop.
That's what you just said.
So what's the problem?
no, if it's completed later, it was also being
But
discussed.
it'll all
to
be
leave-
completed,
Yeah, okay.
and you just leave a gap. I mean.
Okay, because that's what is in your mind now, because when we met on site, there was talk about leaving a permanent gap, a permanent gate, and it's okay, providing it gets agreed.
Well, that's a different matter. I'm
Okay.
talking about a
No, if you
temporary
mean a
one
temporary gap,
to allow
that's fine.
construction.
Although then you've got to get the fencing man back to do a little piddly piece and a few more
Well,
hedge plants.
I mean, I'm sure that won't be a problem. But
We just need to get on with it.
yes, yeah. So I'll chivvy up Glenn and Greg. We need a specification.
Before you fence it all, the gap comes into the picture again. We also, I did it when we were on site, suggest that we need Big Dave back to actually do a little bit of flattening, because at the moment, it was flattened once, it was all quite neat, but obviously time has played its part with it now, which is not really how we want to start with it.
I
Yes.
think as well, I was down there last Sunday, I think, and the brambles are really getting away down the bottom end.
He's got to get rid of all of them.
My concern is that, we talked about getting somebody in, that Big Dave, to flail it, basically. But one of the conditions is to cut the grass.
Yes. Yeah, and then cut it again.
Yes.
Yeah.
So do we flail it first? But the idea is we've got to look out for the newts. So when they're going to flail it, look out for the...
Will that not come into Greg's plan?
I thought they'd moved.
I thought that there was very little evidence of anything. I
I
thought
thought the newts were 200 metres away.
Yes, and the vegetation clearance.
I think it's a marvellous opportunity to get on and do it.
Yes.
Get
Yes, I think you're
it
right.
Get it
So
prepped. Otherwise, we'll be talking to your man in 2030, and the money will have disappeared by
So
then.
we need to
Well, the
start.
money will disappear, I think, after March if we haven't done
Exactly.
Yes, right.
So we
Exactly.
need to start with Dave.
Get it flailed.
Get it flailed and flattened, or whatever we have to do.
So I can explain that to Tony Lambert, that we'll be coming to him, and that we will need it done before the end of February. But we need to have completed everything else we need to do by then.
Well, as I say, if there's a gap for the machinery to get in, that's not an absolute necessity. Obviously, we'd like to.
So we could put the fencing up and have end posts and then just to leave a gap, couldn't we? Could do that, and then Tony Lambert could be asked to come and complete it afterwards.
Exactly.
So in fact, we don't need to. Yeah, that's a solution, isn't it?
It seems to be.
I thought you said the hedging had to go in before the end of February. So if we're
The
leaving
hedging
it,
does, yes.
yeah, but then if we're leaving a gap, you're not going to be putting hedge in there.
Except for the
That's what I
we
said.
could put.
I'd stick a field gate in there. Then you don't need the hedging, and I'm sure the current owners.
We leave a truck-sized gap.
Yeah.
We can.
I'm sure the current
we can
owners would see
dig a bigger hole.
field gate
in
being
the
completely sensible, John.
And you can give them a good watering.
The
Then
current owners would see a field gate would be
just
entirely sensible.
a gate-sized gap. You can almost.
I'm very happy to talk to you about
We
that.
can get around that.
So, but we need to know, Yvonne needs to
Enough
know
might have to
exactly
go
how
on
to
the
proceed.
See?
So, we start with instructing Dave. We need to choose which option of fencing, do metal posts or wooden posts.
I would say metal, because otherwise all we do is land someone with an earlier job of having to try and do it all over again.
But if a wooden one's going to last 10 to 15 years, the hedge will be well established by then.
Yes.
Yeah.
He does say
Which will make it harder
getting an
then to
accurate
do
quote
again.
from the contractor. Could you have a word with your man and just get the quotes?
Yeah, so Charlie's going to do that.
Yeah.
And I mean, he will.
To me-
Once we've agreed tonight, I shall go back to him tomorrow and say we've agreed to go ahead.
The least
We undertake to have our bits done by Christmas.
Yeah.
And please, can you programme Tony to come and put the hedging up?
At the option which is of the least cost. There are two options here. Unless they're exactly the same cost, my thoughts would be you go for the lower cost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Tony will be cheaper.
Yes.
No,
No,
the actual
it wouldn't be
materials.
metal.
Yeah.
One's
Not the
metal,
metal, yes.
one's chestnut. I would have thought the chestnut would be less, but not
Yeah, it will
necessarily. Then we go for the least
But
cost.
he's suggesting in his letter a mixture, isn't he?
Yes.
And I mean, a mixture of metal, which means it lasts longer.
Corner post was one of them.
Well, it's just on the posts.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just on the post. He's giving two options. He says option one and then other option. I'm just suggesting that we go with the option that's the least cost.
He says cost would be on a par with chestnut. So it's implying that it's the
Well,
same.
who's going to come up with the cost? Charlie.
Charlie will ask Tony
Or-
Lambert and he will say how much it's going to be.
Well, let's be guided by them.
I mean, and Charlie will charge us a fee for the work he does,
Yeah.
which is
Fair
a
enough.
couple of £100.
Yeah, it's fair. But I just think we find out what the cost is and then we've got the information to make a decision.
So I'll instruct him to go for the cheapest option then.
Cheaper option.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The lowest cost. Always think
So we're
it's
not
better
fussed
than
then, we don't get metal posts to make it last longer.
I don't think there's any
Yeah,
way.
right.
we just don't-
Let's look at, you get the quotes and we'll...
In 30 years' time, it'll be a housing estate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
Get some perspective.
Okay,
I won't allow it. I'll still be here then.
You'll be. Which plot are you buying?
so you take that aside. As I say, I'll chivvy the engineers and architects to get a specification out. We will then go to contractors accordingly. The question that was asked on site was, in terms of the path, which is going to cost, obviously, do we go the whole way down at the beginning? Because we're only probably going to very slowly from the near end. So, but again, we can look at relative costs and whether it's sensible to go the whole way because we've got materials and whatever on site. And
Was it Greg who was going to produce a timeline?
yeah, I'm sure he'll do that.
Because I think that's what we
Well,
were
we've
talking
got
about
the
different
timeline.
dates and
We've had the
times and what have
timeline.
you. And now we can plug in Alan's fencer into February.
Yes.
for
If
next
we've
year.
got a timeline for Greg, what else is Greg coming up with?
A
Specifications?
specification for the contractor to price to.
Mm.
But his timeline was before.
Yeah, before the path.
Was
The
yeah.
spec is from Glenn.
Mm.
Are you going to talk to about putting a gate in?
Yeah, yes, I mean, we'll look at the practical aspects of bringing
Because that
plant
would
in.
allow us, if we got that option.
Yes, yeah, I'll mention that to them and I'm sure they'll confirm that's okay. And if it's part of the legal agreement that we shouldn't have, then I will go to John Mallet and to to Victor Mallet and just ask for confirmation that he's happy with that arrangement.
The point you made about
temporary.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just have that option.
the point you made about the length of the path, there was a suggestion made by I think Greg when we met, which was that if you've got the we've got the sort of top corners thin, isn't it, and then it gets wider, sort of like that. So if that's the sort of shape of the thing, then this is a point really, of course. Then the path's coming down here by the trees. As it gets wider, people are going to walk this much. So there's no problem if they walk that bit, because they're otherwise going to walk that bit. The path is going to come along here. So there's a sort of a radius, if you like. It doesn't have to go right to the end. because if anyone wants to get to this bit, they're already going to have to walk across. So there's no point going down here. But the added problem is we need some kind of a turn here, whether it's a turning circle or whether it's a sort of a 3-point turn shape. That's got to be provided.
Okay, well, anything that is forthcoming from Brooke, I will circulate to the relevant people just for comment. But as I said, the exciting thing is that it might actually begin to happen. So that's that. Council insurance renewal, we dealt with this suggestion from a resident about replacing the unattractive hedge. The hedge belongs, as we know, to the Mallet family, and it's really not our province to put suggestions to them.
It's not our hedge at all, absolutely. We discussed lots of things that are not ours. It was a suggestion from a resident to me and then to Alan. I've done a couple of pictures here that are useful because I think there are issues which would be a problem. And obviously, if mallets don't want to do it, it doesn't go anywhere anyway. It's only a matter of us discussing a suggestion from the resident. The idea that was put to Alan and I was that as you come down from Stocks here to the triangle, that hedge there, if it was open, would open up a view of rural tranquility, as it were, within the village. The problem in my mind is that it also opens up a view of Homestead, which of course is the Mallets. And in fact, because of the shape of it's rather strange when you look at it like this, because of the bend in the street, Homestead is actually where it is. So if you took that hedge away, I mean, were the Mallets to consider taking that hedge away, Homestead would be more exposed to the traffic. However, if you then look on the aerial picture, if that hedge was taken away, in fact, they've got another hedge along their actual property, the other side, the little piece of sheep field. So, I mean, I take the same view as everyone else does, that it's pretty unlikely to go anywhere. I'm not of the view that we should ignore it because it's not ours.
I regard it as an unnecessary urbanisation.
Yes.
I mean, hedgerows are full of birds.
Yes, last year, didn't plant plants in that hedge.
Yes, David does that.
Which I thought was attractive.
Yes.
As I said, as you all know previously, I think that we've got one particular thing to focus on with John Mallet, and that is the sports club lease. Finally, hopefully this year, getting finalised. Anything else is a distraction and frankly a waste of our time.
Could I just...
I mean, I hope that isn't going to suffer with our Merv being so unwell, if you see what I mean, because he's been quite central to getting things moving along.
Or not.
With sports club lease.
I can't...
With Merv.
No,
I hope that's not going to suffer.
I know all about that. No, I just think we need to get a move on.
Yeah.
Could I just say that having walked round that corner, the land, the field that is behind is actually higher than the footway, than the pavement. And when you take a hedge away, any water will run straight off that, straight onto the road and the pavement.
And I certainly
Yes.
think
That's a
so.
good point.
And if you put a fence down at the road level, the sheep will just go.
Yeah. Yes.
I think it's really up to the resident to approach the Mallets himself if he feels that way.
I just
Not a matter for us.
That's fine. All I've been pressing is that we should consider it because we consider lots of things. The immediate reaction was we can't do anything because it's not ours. We discussed the sports club, we discussed the no man's land, we discussed the village hall. You know, we discuss planning applications. We don't own any of them. That's all we had to do.
Sure. Okay. We've had yet another complaint about parking during football matches, and Yvonne, you were going to write yet another letter.
Oh no, we haven't decided whether
Sorry.
we're going to.
Should we continue to write letters to the head of the football when we seem to get nowhere? Would you agree?
We do. I mean, yes, I was approached because she didn't know where else to go. And I explained that we do this all the time, every time there's a problem, we do go to the sports club, and they do say they're going to try and do something.
There is always the risk, and I don't wish to promote the risk, but there is always a risk that our worthy PC comes along and tickets a load of them for obstruction, because it is plainly obstruction if they want to make it that. I mean, it's either informal traffic calming or it's obstruction, and that's in the eyes of the officer.
Well, you'd have to ticket all the way along Poplar Road then, because cars were parked along there. I think the option is to write to them and to suggest that maybe they provide a volunteer marshal right on the day. And also, if this lady, or I don't know who it was, if this person who had the concern couldn't get her vehicle, his vehicle through, that also means that if there was an accident on the sports field during a match, or any resident had an emergency, then an emergency vehicle wouldn't be able to get through. So I include that in the letter. And it gives relevance to the football match, because the likelihood of an injury in a tournament or whatever it is probably higher than normal.
Yeah. The little no parking signs that were on the fence aren't there anymore. And I mean, really, there's no reason at the moment that all those cars can't be parked in the sports field on grass.
They were talking about taking away some of that grass and making it a bigger parking area. That's one of the things that came back. But it hasn't.
Well, certainly on Saturday there were cars parked on the grass, so there's no reason why more cars can't be parked on the grass.
Well, what had happened was that they parked on the sort of hard standing area.
No, this was early.
They couldn't get onto the grass.
Oh right, I see what you mean. Yeah.
Unless you
but if you've got to walk somebody there,
people never park sensibly.
No.
Okay.
They want to park so they can get out.
It's the same thing as when we've had parking for the church, when there is land there. People always park near the entrance. No one thinks, well, I'll park over there so other people can get in.
Yes.
You've got to work to the lowest common denominator of intelligence. And I think putting the emphasis back on the sports club, that it's actually their responsibility and in their interest in health and safety. And please could they provide a volunteer to put the bollards out and direct people to the village hall, because if you don't know the village, you don't know where the village hall is.
Well, yeah, to the village hall, onto the sports field.
Yeah, keep an avenue on that.
I think we're going to see a greater keenness from the sports club to enter into sort of capital projects once the lease is reviewed.
Sure.
They're talking about that already, really.
They can get grants.
Looking for grants, exactly.
So who am I addressing this to?
Head honch at the sports club.
Chairman of the sports club.
Yes, Stuart.
Stuart Hibbert, is it?
Is he chairman again?
Thank you.
He'll do anyway, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, bank account change in charges.
Yes.
That's good news for us.
Yes, it is. Back to tariff one.
Yeah. Good. The email that we have been sent offering reduced price defibrillators. Do we feel that another one in the village would be a good thing? I think we probably do. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think there was talk of the possibility of one on the wall of the shop.
Yes. Yes, Max had mentioned before that he would be happy.
It needs a power supply.
Yes.
And it's £950 basically. Are we happy to spend that money? I think it's a good thing, definitely.
Can I state the obvious, that when you do your report to the village, to the populace through the magazine, that something that, going back to Jeremy's what the Romans do for us, that we make a thing and we connect it to the training, following the training that lots of people had, that etc, then people can read about it, know it, and know that we've done something.
And these are available on a first come first served basis, so
yes,
we need to get a lead on.
Do you need the defibrillator? Do you think there'll be a queue?
Well, that's what it says on first come.
Oh, I thought you meant the users.
So we'll try and see if they've got one for us.
I need to have a word with Dax first to make sure
Yes.
that he's happy and for it to be powered.
And there'll be the cost of an electrician powering that. Working party reports. Caretaker, I think the new arrangements are running smoothly, and you mentioned to me that it has been an easy grass cutting season this year, and that Alf has been spending some time tidying up in the cemetery.
Yes, we've been time in the cemetery.
He's had
Yes, he had a problem with the van, but that's been fixed at a reasonable price, so that was good.
So monthly transaction statements, again, fair copies of those. People are happy generally.
Yes, I have to move money around, you will see, because my problem is that I never know when the precept comes in. On the last day usually, the 30th, but what time? So, it looks like I've got loads of money, so I need to transfer, but I couldn't guarantee.
So this is why you transferred
Yes.
across?
Yes, I put it on the 29th. Left it in there as long as possible, the deposit. But, so then it looks, so why did you do it when you actually got? But I didn't know what time.
No, quite.
So I didn't want the salary to go out before.
Everybody happy with
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
12th.
And the caretaker one.
And the caretaker scheme. I can't remember the date.
The reserves that Jeremy we deferred from the last meeting because in fact the news new way they do these things does make it easier for me. But from the practitioner's guide, the authority needs to have regard to the need to put in place a general reserve policy and have reviewed the level and purpose of all earmarked reserves, which is what we sort of do now. As authorities have no legal powers to hold revenue reserves other than those for reasonable working capital needs or for specifically earmarked purposes, whenever an authority's year-end general reserve is less than 3 months or more than 12 months of net revenue expenditure, an explanation should be provided to the external auditor. Well, what they do now is to give me a little spreadsheet and I put in the figures and they have a yes or a no, and as soon as I've reached the right figure it comes explanation required yes when I put in the balances. When I put in what we've got, caretaker account, burial account, maintenance account, path play area, more memorial steps project, it then came up with yes as soon as I got to the right figure, so I didn't have to go. But before I had to work it out myself, but now it just magic.
Okay, that's very helpful to answer my question, thank you.
Yes.
Because I did ask where that limit of a year came from.
Yeah.
The actual reserves you've done, and I don't suggest you spend the time on it now unless you really want to, I think there's a small error in it, but that's neither here nor there really, it's only small. I think there's a bit of double counting and unshuffling to be done. I think the principle that you've got here is exactly right. I think it gets, because it's a sort of a bit of an old version merged into a newer version, it's a little bit
confusing
and could be improved.
Yeah.
And I suggest that if people want, I mean, I'm very happy other people do it, but I don't think it'll take very long to tidy it up. The biggest issue here that we should really face up to is that these old numbers for how much the cemetery was going to cost us are way out of date. And actually, if we start putting in big numbers there, your problems with the year's worth, because part of it, by the way, has already been allowed for in a reserve we did have. But you know, these figures that we had 10, 12 years ago are figures now.
Yeah, yes, very cool.
So
Okay.
I think a little bit of recasting there, rather than it being formally agreed tonight, because there is an error in it anyway of £100.
Okay. Fine. No planning decisions today. Anything on open spaces? Alan? No.
Nothing new.
Nothing new. Public rights of way, Sally?
Well, only that it's only just come through, but the diversion, the extinguishment of the path from up to Owley has been confirmed now. That only came in.
Okay. Highways?
There's nothing particular. A couple of you mentioned as you go out of the village on the left-hand side of the road, there's some big chunks that have started to grow between the garage and beyond Cherry Tree on the left-hand side.
So I have
Checker tree.
Leslie. The Checker. Sorry.
Yeah.
I haven't reported them, but I just didn't know whether or not they come up. Anyone else had mentioned.
Was his hedge growing out, you mean?
No,
it's actually the road itself. There are some big. It's a bit like if you go further on down towards Stocks and beyond that to Stone.
Potholes.
Yeah, but it's not sort of.
No.
It's not. It probably doesn't qualify as a pothole because
Because
potholes
it's the edge of the road.
It's not on the edge.
no,
It's
top
towards the
bits.
side. It's the whole top surface.
Yes,
right, just
Yeah.
come off, yeah.
That's happened
Yeah.
all over the place.
Yeah.
Hasn't it?
Strewing.
But the interesting thing is that it's got white marks, but I can't work out whether they're new white marks or old white marks.
There's a very enthusiastic white marker who's been going around. If you travel towards Warehorn and take the turning off as if you're going to Ashford, the King's North Way, the edges of the road are an absolute nightmare. They're razor sharp. And someone has painted every single one. I would say between 600 and 1,000. It's just incredible. I know that was a work of art. But
Going up to there because they're old, because you can hardly see them now.
I thought they must
Also
be.
with the highways, as you come into the village from Rye, the 30-mile-an-hour sign that's sort of almost behind Miriam's hedge now. You can't see it.
Yes, that's enough. Mention it tomorrow.
Okay, cemetery, Sue, anything?
It looks. It actually looks very good. What I've done down there.
We had a funeral down there last Friday,
Yeah.
and people did all walk down from the church, and they were mostly visitors. The ones I saw, they were mostly visitors from the Midlands, and it did look good.
Right, our next meeting, 9th June, 7 p.m. I would apologise in advance. I won't be here, and Alan will be chairing.
And I like to send my apologies in advance. I won't be there, I'll be on holiday.
Sorry, I couldn't hear that.
You're chairer next time.
I didn't want to be.
No, I've got it in my diary.
Yes,
but I won't be here I'm afraid I won't be at the Zoom.
No, I'll do the pre-one.
That is June.
Yes, so
Oh, Zoom! Sorry.
The Zoom. No, I won't be at the Zoom, but I will be. My slight problem is that I'm afraid my hearing has deteriorated very quickly just recently, and if I was chairing tonight, I would have a problem because I wouldn't be able to actually run the meeting very easily because I hope it's going to get better, but it's a slight worry because I don't hear in this ear anyway, and suddenly I can't hear in this ear.
well, that ear will be on Yvonne's side. I'll sit here and I will relay anything to you.
Do you have a hearing aid at all?
Well, I do, but I can't wear it because of this ear doesn't like the insertion of the aid, and that
Can it
sets
not
me
be a
off.
one-sided hearing
So
aid?
well, this ear is very good. So I'm now going to have to do something about it because I've suddenly gone very, very deaf.
You need a good
Well,
doctor,
if you
Alan.
speak to me,
You need a good doctor.
I went to see one today.
No.
I did, and I went to see Dr. Giveaway.
This is
And you could see in my ear that it was quite clear, so I don't know what's gone wrong, but anyway.
can you see through to the other
That
side?
is a potential problem I have, but I hope in a month's time things will be fine.
Okay.
I'm sure Sue will step in.
No.
and bring it back.
Items of
Between us,
information. I just wanted to mention at this point the fact that the editors of Outlook are leaving us by August. I think this is an item of major importance for the village. However, I'm glad to say that I spoke to Jake, or Coos, or whatever you call him, the editor, this evening, and he does have somebody in mind, which is
that's good.
who he's going
Do they know?
Do they? Well,
Do they know?
He's interviewing them on Friday.
Oh, right.
So that cheered me a lot. I made one or two inquiries. I went to a history thing at Appledore the other day and was chatting to the people serving the food, and they were telling me about the Appledore magazine, which I thought I brought along, but maybe I didn't. At least I did.
Very different to ours.
It's different. It's home produced. They've got their own printer. 4 of them producing each one, and I think it's brilliant. Actually, it's full of useful local information, and it was just the thought. Had I not heard that from Coos, I was going to phone the editor of this and just say, if worst comes to worst, would they consider including Wittersham within the same publication? I think we've got an awful lot in common, judging by the advertisements, a lot of the same providers. Of course,
personally, I think it would be preferable to keep Stone and Wittersham discreet. But I mean, there's a fallback position there. If we can't find an editor,
exactly. But I put something on Nextdoor, which some of you will have seen, and Yvonne on social media, and we're still waiting to hear from anybody. You mentioned.
I do have an idea or two. I haven't made any
You've
progress.
always got an idea.
I haven't made any progress on that.
Okay, well if you do, please let me know as soon as possible.
Somebody did mention to me a few months ago that they wouldn't mind doing the job.
Oh, that was a mistake.
And I'm going to go and see them.
Fine. If you
Are there any university students who are doing media?
Media studies.
There wouldn't be. We want somebody permanent though, don't we?
Well, if they're doing a course for 2 or 3 years, I just thought or you could have a subcommittee and you could spread the load a little bit. So, by all means, obviously you go after the person that thinks it's a job.
Stuart's got experience in this.
And talking about public service, if it's all right, John, can I bring something else up?
Of course, yes. Anybody.
The Jeremiah Greenland committee met this evening and earlier, but before this, and Rod, who has been the treasurer and really the coordinator for a long time, has done a wonderful job, as you know, now lives in Tenterden. The Jeremiah Greenland Trust, by the nature of its constitution, has to have 2 gentlemen from Tenterden in attendance at the trustees' AGM, who I suppose they're the earlier sort of incarnation of an auditor, but they basically come, and they don't have to be from Tenterden, and there are 2 of them, and one of them sadly just died. So Rod is happy to move from the position of treasurer to being a gentleman of Tenterden, which is fine, but it means we don't have. Rod wants to stand down within the next 6 months, or at the most a year, so we've got to try and find somebody who would be a capable treasurer. I mean, the ideal person would be probably a retired accountant. Now, we've got quite a few retired solicitors knocking around, but a retired accountant would be perfect. And there must be one of us who knows somebody in the village who's a retired accountant who's got not much to do.
We knew one, but he moved out, didn't he?
Well, you would know one, Alan.
Anyway, I'd be grateful if you could all give it some thought, and if you could think of anybody who is wandering around at a loose end.
You would know one, Alan.
So sorry?
You would know one.
Mm-hmm.
I would know one.
Yes.
Why?
Because you
do.
do.
The church ones.
Well, I mean, there's people like. I mean, there is a treasurer, an accountant who does the church books. Whether he'd take this on as well, I rather doubt, because You know, I mean, that's Alan Nutt you're thinking of,
Yes.
isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't seen him for years. I don't know how he hides himself away.
It's very spiritual.
And I mean, I'm presumably still. I was. It was mentioned that we're looking for somebody who's. I mean, he's the same sort of age as me, and it was mentioned that a younger model would be a good idea. You see what I mean?
Well, we'll all do our level best to search.
Yeah. So if you could kidnap somebody from
You've
another
got me on
village
younger
like
model.
that.
Oh my
So we
goodness.
do need somebody to take on the treasury. Otherwise, we have a problem because I couldn't do it. I wouldn't be able to do it.
What the other
Do they have to,
aspect?
sorry, do they have to live in the village?
Well, Rod doesn't live in the village.
I know.
He's doing it. So
No, the treasure.
in an ideal world, yes.
Why don't you ask-
In a
why don't you
perfect
ask
world, it's
Viv?
not a perfect world. You see what I mean? There's no remuneration or anything like that, you know. It's entirely
Ask
voluntary.
Viv. Who's in our Pilates class? Viv Eldridge.
Yeah, she worked with my daughter in Rye. Yes, I know who you mean.
Yeah.
Who are we talking about?
Viv Eldridge.
And she's in
Yes.
Tenterden as well now, isn't she? Do they have to be gentlemen from Tenterden?
No, the gentlemen are separate.
You're mixing up this gentleman here.
Don't mix some gentlemen with the treasurer. I think the treasurer really should
I
live
think
in
we
the
should all
village.
put our thinking caps on and come up with
The treasurer
suggestions
should live in
to
the
Alan
village.
on the postcard.
But should you also not amend your regulations to include ladies from Tenterden as well? It just seems
That's a very-
extremely
It's a fair point.
outdated.
They haven't done that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
It could be two gentle women from. I would have thought we'd get away with it.
just gentle people.
Um,
Gentle folk.
Alan,
As
also
opposed to the
Talking about
doesn't
being
he,
treasurer of the journal.
shout at him, give him a badge. Is it
Yes.
Gal, a retired accountant?
Gail.
Gal Bartlett.
Ah, I do you know her well?
Well, she lived in Swan Street, up at the top.
Yes, so she was sports club, wasn't she?
She is.
Yeah, I think
She's still
I
sports
think
club, yes.
she's a
She's a
retired
trustee.
accountant.
Treasurer of sports club.
She'll be there at the cricket match.
Is she treasurer?
Yes, I don't know her well. Does anybody know her well?
Yeah, fairly well.
No.
She's
Yeah.
quite different.
She's in the.
And is she, you know, would I get on with her, for example?
Is that,
She's
is
quite
that, is that a
direct,
requirement?
we'll say that.
Direct, that's all right. I don't mind people who are direct.
Well, accountants not
Um,
direct,
That's
aren't they?
that's not a bad
Yes, I've got
suggestion.
a
I'll
daughter
do
who's
it.
an accountant, she's not very direct.
If
We'll
you've got
try
any
that.
more to let me know.
Okay.
Anything.
Right, one more from Paul.
You will recall that I was asked to approach Paul Hutchinson. Is it Hutchinson? Yes.
Yes.
Regarding the departure of the Pilates teacher from her
Oh yes.
5 years of Monday morning bookings and her reasons for some of the reasons for going. And so I had a good conversation with him, an exchange of emails, and the main points were about heating and oil supply. I'm paraphrasing it now. And he came back and he said since he took over the oil supply last summer, I think it was, there hasn't been any problems, and there were issues that were reported to the then group who ran the village hall, and they thought they'd rectified them. I got the sense that it was 6 of one and half a dozen the other, but I did ask the questions and I did get some very polite and extended answers from Paul. So, you know, the other issue was about the cleaning of the village hall after the dog training on the Sunday, which was an issue for the Pilates class with people having to get on the floor on their mats. Paul said that since they got a new cleaner in 18 months ago, I think, there hadn't been an issue. There was another member of the village hall committee, Anne, I forget her surname, and she said she'd never had a problem with dog cleanliness for her Tai Chi class.
Yeah.
Which is actually interesting enough, not on a Monday though, it's on a Thursday.
And Simpson.
By which time, of course, the village hall had been cleaned. So pulling it all together, you know, all I would say is those are the facts as much as you can call them that, and I don't think there's any need for us to further investigate because the teacher's not coming back. She's got alternative premises, And as far as I can see, the Village Hall Committee have taken every action they possibly can to remedy the complaints that were made.
Did he go on at all to say that they're doing their best to sell space in the village?
That wasn't mentioned, and I didn't think that was appropriate for me to raise it, but he certainly didn't. He addressed the issues in a very measured, polite way. I couldn't have any disagreement with him. And then because he circulated that to fellow committee members, Anne popped up and said she'd like to add what I've just described. So my thoughts are, I think we've done our bit to investigate. I don't think there's any more that we can really do. I mean, if we come across people who want to hire the village hall, then we should all try and persuade them to do so. But obviously, as the bookings go down and down and down, there comes a crunch point.
What we need is a general election.
Well, that might help.
Get days higher.
It's the frequency of that is at least we have one every 1.5 years. But if you ladies won't notice this, and I don't know what the ladies are like, but the frame in the gents, the rot is setting in parts of the corner, but it does on old buildings. But we do have, a very, very robust community building in the village.
Indeed.
Elsewhere.
Okay. Anybody? Anything else to add? No.
Well,
Online. Okay.
Thank you, John.
Let's conclude.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.